This is the Theory of Flight audiobook, Book 1, Part 3, The Present. Valentine. Valentine Tanaka looks at the man himself and cannot help but think that he does not quite fit in these surroundings. He is too large for the medium-sized office, too modern for the antiquated furnishings, and too shiny for the dust-covered surfaces. There was a time when the size of the man himself bespoke a presence to be reckoned with, but that was years ago, when the country was newly independent and the man himself had just taken over the organization of domestic affairs. He carried his weight with authority. He had been nimble on his feet, a man of activity, dashing out of cars, bounding up and down stairs, never out of breath, a reminder of his predecessor, Emil Coetzee. But now here he sits, wheezing, sweating, unable to catch his breath. Now his considerable weight, no longer athletic, time had seen to that, hangs off him, giving him a sagging appearance that promises to fold in on itself someday soon. This is why even as he sits he needs to prop himself up with a cane. There is that familiar glint in the eyes of the man himself. Mischief, malice, mayhem. Valentine can never really tell which one it is. The glint makes Valentine wonder what kind of schoolchild the man himself had been, because he has never been able to imagine the man himself as a boy. He always conjures up a miniature version of the man himself, sitting behind a desk, the old-fashioned kind that you opened that had its pride and immaculate inkwell, on a slotted wooden chair that pinches. Not that the man himself knows this, because at this very moment his bottom is off this chair. His hand eagerly raised as he screams, "Me, me, me," leaning over his desk, trying to get the attention of a colonial schoolmaster whose studied lack of interest lets everyone know without a doubt that he is British. "Me, me, me," the man himself screams. "Absolutely no need for all this excitement, I assure you," the disinterested schoolmaster says. "A hand quietly raised will get my attention, but I suppose it cannot be helped. It is in your natures to make a cacophony, empty vessels and all that." Valentine watches as his eyes of the man himself glinted. Mischief, malice, mayhem. "I suppose you are wondering to what you owe the pleasure of my company," the man himself says as he wipes his face with a pristine white handkerchief, interrupting Valentine's reverie. "Yes, sir." The man himself looks at Valentine long and hard. Valentine knows that it is best not to look away. The man himself reaches into his pocket, his eyes never leaving Valentine's, and places something carefully on the table. "You owe it to this." Valentine looks at the thing on the table. It is the most precious and beautiful something that he has ever seen. It's because it makes him want to touch it. He only realizes that he has reached out his hand to touch it when the man himself snatches it up and secretes it away in his pocket. "I would like to think that you and I are friends." Valentine cannot help but think that the man himself starts many conversations in this way, conversations that do not end particularly well for the listener. Or am I wrong? Are we not friends? We are friends. Good. That is what I thought. Why, I knew I could trust you. The man himself looks at Valentine long and hard again. "I can trust you, can't I?" Yes, you can trust me," Valentine says, not particularly liking who he is at this moment. A man so uncertain that all he can do is try to please. "Good. I knew I could," the man himself says as he once again removes the precious and beautiful something from his pocket, places it between his thumb and forefinger, and rolls it back and forth, making it glimmer like a beacon. He no longer trusts Valentine enough to place it on the table between them. "As soon as I saw it, I thought, Valentine Tanaka will be the man for this job. He is someone who can be trusted, a friend." Valentine is too mesmerized by the precious and beautiful something to look at the man himself. You'll never guess where I found it, the man himself says, looking particularly pleased with himself. The Beaufort Farm and Estate. The Beaufort Farm and Estate, says Valentine, and with these words he feels as though a spell has been broken. Yes, the farm has been taken over by war veterans, of course. Of course. The Beaufort Farm and Estate being taken over by war veterans had made headlines some years before. The organization had not intervened in any way until now. The man himself shifts his gaze away from Valentine to a pile of dusty papers resting on a window ledge behind Valentine. While we, appreciate their service to this country, their self-sacrifice during the war, they are squatting on the land illegally, and something will obviously have to be done about that, the man himself says to the pile of papers. Obviously? The man himself shifts his gaze back to Valentine. Mischief, malice, mayhem. I knew you would understand, the man himself says. I knew you were the man for the job. The man himself leans heavily on his cane and then struggles to stand up. The scrape of the chair along the floor takes Valentine back to the classroom where the miniature the man himself is screaming, "Me, me, me," trying to get the attention of the ever-disinterested British schoolmaster. Beatrice Bate Beaufort still has the title deeds. Legally, the farm belongs to her, the man himself says as he returns to the precious and beautiful something in his pocket. I see. I knew you would.